is hard, I know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to multiply polynomials. Polynomial is a monomial or sum of monomials, each called a term of the polynomial. So if it has one term not separated by addition or subtraction, that is a monomial. Polynomials have more than one monomial separated by addition or subtraction. Okay. The degree of the polynomial is the greatest exponent or degree of its terms. When a polynomial is written from decreasing order, from the biggest exponent to the smallest exponent, it is in standard form, and the leading coefficient is called the leading coefficient, the number in front of the biggest degree. If a polynomial has two terms, it's a binomial, and if a polynomial has three terms, it's a trinomial. We are going to go over different ways of multiplying polynomials. First, we're going to multiply a monomial by a polynomial. Then we're going to multiply polynomials using tables. Then we're going to do it vertically, then horizontally, then FOIL. Okay? So there are the different ways of doing it. All right. Put your head up. Okay, so we're going to start with 2x cubed times x cubed plus 3x squared minus 2x plus 5. Okay? This is just like distributing. See that number in front of the parentheses? We're going to multiply it by each term inside. Okay? So first I'm going to take this whole thing and I'm going to multiply it by this, x cubed. So I get 2x to the 6th. Remember, we're adding the exponents when we're multiplying. Okay. Shelby and Christian, why don't you guys move both to the side so you can turn around and say front right now? Thanks. Okay. So then we're going to take 2x to the 3rd and times it by 3x squared, which is going to give us 6x to the 5th. Then we're going to take 2x cubed and multiply it by 2x, negative 2x. And we get negative 4x to the 4th. And then we're going to take 2x to the 3rd and multiply it by 5, and we get plus 10x to the 3rd. So every number on the outside of that parentheses, we multiplied it by each term in the inside. We're going to try another one together. All right. We have got 3x to the 4th times 2x to the 3rd plus x squared minus 3x plus 5. All right, let's start with Terrence. What two numbers do I multiply together first? What two terms? 3x to the 4th times what? And what am I going to get? 3 times 2 is? Okay, and x to the 4th and x to the 3rd gives us x to the 7. That's where you're getting confused. The big numbers you have to multiply. The little numbers you add when we multiply. That's from chapter 8.
You guys remember that? We add when we multiply, and subtract exponents when we divide.
Okay, Melissa, what do I do next? Okay, and what am I going to get, Melissa? 3x to the 6th. Thank you. Okay, Michael, what am I going to do next?
Well, you multiply 3x times 2x to the 3rd, then you did 3x to the 4th times x to the squared, so now you can do 3x to the 4th times
negative 3x, which gives us negative 9x to the 5th.
Do you guys see why it's to the 5th? Because even though there's one x, there's one x is always
Yes, that's the most common mistake. Remember, just because there's no exponent, that means there's a 1. Just like if you have just an x, you know there's a 1 in front of it, you also know the exponent to it is always 1. Hi, what do we do next? And what am I going to get? We're going to get 15 x to the 4th. Perfect. so if you have a monomial and you're timesing it by a polynomial, you just times each term by the monomial in front. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to multiply two polynomials together. Okay, there are different ways to do this. The first one we're going to look at is how to multiply it with a box.
Guys, and she just real quick, Miss Murphy, you see she went through real quick in her head, even though she didn't say it out loud, to make sure there were no like terms. There weren't any.
There won't be when you're multiplying a mon, and we'll get all that.
Alright. They want to get in the hand though.
Yeah.
Otherwise they won't.
Okay, so you're going to make a table. The top is going to have x and 2. The side is going to have x and 3. Okay. All I'm doing is multiplying them each across. See how this is x here and x here on the outsides of the box? I multiply them together and I get x squared. Then I've got an x times a 2, which gives me 2x. Then I've got an x times a 3, which gives me 3x. And then I've got 3 times 2, which gives me 6. Do I see any terms that are alike? 2x and 3x, which when we add them together we get 5x. We get x squared plus 5x plus 6. We're done. You guys gotta, if you remember this, if you remember that 2x plus 3x gives you 5x, but 2x times 3x gives you 6x squared, that will be helpful if you can remember the difference between these two.
I would say make sure when you write your answer out, it always goes
Biggest exponent to smallest exponent. So we've got the biggest exponent, which is 2. The next one's 1. This one doesn't have any.
always write decreasing.
From the biggest to the smallest. Okay, we're going to try another one together with the box or the table.
Now she's showing you a bunch of different ways on the quiz. If you're not asked to do a certain thing, you can do it any way you want. She's showing you about 4 to 5 different ways to do it. You pick the best way that you want to do it. But you have to do different ways in your homework today.
Okay, Sapphira, I'm going to ask you this next. We're going to put x and 4 on the top and x and 5 on the side. Do you see how that works? Okay, Sapphira, what's x times x give me? Okay, what's x times 4 give me? What's 5 times x give me? Okay, what's 5 times 4 give me? 20. There's no x. Which ones are alike? Sorry. Which ones could I put together because they're like terms? 4x and 5x, and when I add them together, what do I get? 9x. So I put x squared, because that comes first, because that's the biggest exponent, plus 9x plus 20. Okay? I think using the table is one of the easiest ways. We're going to do another one now. We're going to multiply it vertically, which is one of my least favorite. But
It's the same way you multiply a regular multiplication problem. Vertically.
right? So if I've got like 2,000 times 15, I would go 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 5 times 2. Okay? So it's the same kind of thing. So first thing you're going to do is set it up, because this is not set up vertically. So we go b squared plus 6b minus 7 times 3b minus 4. Okay? Now I'm going to circle the ones I'm talking about, see if that helps. We've got negative 4 first. We're going to multiply that by each thing. So negative 4 times negative 7 gives us a positive 28. Okay? Now I'm going to take negative 4 times 6b. That's how I get a negative 24b. Okay. Now I'm going to take negative 4 times b squared. It gives me negative 4b squared. So now I'm going to start again, but I'm going to do it with 3b. So I'm going to go 3b times negative 7 gives me negative 21b. See how I skipped this spot right here? There's no number multiplied by 3b that's not going to have a b. So I skipped that spot. It's like when you use a 0 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 5 times 0, 10. Then we put a 0 down, or we leave that place empty and then do 1 times 0. It's the same kind of thing. I don't like this one either, but just bear with me. Then we're going to do 3b times 6b, which gives us positive 18b squared. Then we're going to do 3b times b squared, which gives me positive 3b cubed. Okay. One of the good things about this is it's lined up our like terms. So all I'm doing is adding straight down. See how 3b cubes? Nothing to add to it, just bring it down. Negative 4b and 18b is positive 14b squared. Negative 24b and negative 21b is negative 45b, and then we just bring down the 28. That's the good thing about it, is it lines it up already for you. Okay, so we will take a vote on this one. Do you want to see another vertical problem like this?
No.
Or do you want me to do a box, another box one?
Box.
Okay. So this one is a 3 by 2 instead of just a 2 by 2. So the box should have 3 spots at the top. See how that works? And 2 spots along the side. So we've got x squared goes in one spot, then 3x, then negative 7. And along the side, we've got x and negative 4. So if we set up the box like this, it'll work perfectly. Okay. X and x squared, now I'm multiplying, remember? X and x squared gives me x to the third. X times 3x gives me 3x squared. X times negative 7 is negative 7x. Negative 4 times x squared is negative 4x squared. Negative 4 times 3x is negative 12x. And negative 4 times negative 7 is a positive 28. Okay, now we're going to look at this box. Is there any x cubes? How many x cubes do we have? Just this one, right? There's no other x cubes inside the boxes. Okay. Are there any x squareds? There's 3x squared. Is there another one? Negative 4x squared. So what's 3x squared and negative 4x squared? Negative 1x squared.
Now we're adding them.
Right? When we put them into the box, we multiplied. Now that we're taking them out, we're adding. Okay. So, do I have any x's? Which ones? Negative 12x and negative 7x. So that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. And finally, 28, because we don't have any other numbers by themselves besides 28.
Do you guys understand or have any questions about the box method? How to set it up?
So I think it's actually called the table method. I just like the box, saying it box instead. Box or table are the same thing. All right. So our next one is the horizontal method, which is very similar to what we did for example 1, except we've got a polynomial times a polynomial. So that means multiple terms times multiple terms. Okay. So we've got 2x squared plus 5x minus 1 times 4x minus 3. Okay? So I use arrows to keep track of what I'm doing. I'm going to take the first term in the blue parentheses and multiply it by each term in the green one. 2x squared times 4x and 2x squared times negative 3. 2x squared times 4x is 8x cubed. 2x squared times negative 3 is negative 6x squared. Next, I'm going to multiply 5x by each term. 5x times 4x is positive 20x. 5x times negative 3 is negative 15